and we don't second guess. Unapologetic, we're bold and we're loud, shining light on the left shady crowd. Oreo Express, rolling down the track, exposing the lies, ain't no turning back. Conservative fire, we're speaking the truth. At Oreo Express, this one's for you. So grab your boots, let's take a stand for freedom, faith, and the heart of this land. Oreo Express, let's roll, let's go. So grab your boots, let's take a stand for freedom, faith, and the heart of this land. Oreo Express, let's roll.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
That's right, guys. Head over to mypillow.com. Check them out. Support an American-made product. We're talking a lot about American-made products. It's time to step up. Go over there, mypillow.com, or call that number that was on your screen. We want to say thank you for everybody tuning in right now. Happy May 14th. If you guys would do us a favor and hit that like button. Share this out. We can only do it with your support, and we say thank you. Let me jump in over to the comments. It's a beautiful Wednesday here in Central California. Let me tell you, it's probably going to be like 72 today. Old Uncle Bill's in the house. Hello, Old Uncle Bill. Hunter's in the house. Trina, hello, hello, hello. Freedom Cowgirl says, good afternoon, Josh and Oreo Army. Who else we got down here? Let's Cade, Texas. Says, howdy, everyone, gripping the wheel today, but listening to the best new show ever. Hey, Cade, you weren't here for the second show. I don't know if it was because of that arrest that happened, but I won't get into the details. But thank you for the Zelle yesterday. Appreciate you, bud. Let's see who else is in here. Susan K. Spencer. We got Forward 77. Let's see. Nola's in the house. Let me get down to the bottom. Texas Bigfoot. Check that out. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you. We're going to talk about some of the hearings on Capitol Hill today. Democrats are focused on trying to play this game. Now, we've covered it for weeks and weeks on in months now, how Democrats have let the American people know they will fight harder for MS-13 gang members, human traffickers, drug dealers, child traffickers, child rapists than they ever have fought in before for actual citizens of the United States. And they thought they have these hearings on Capitol Hill where Kristi Noem's in there and they're trying to get their one-liners in and make these people that are actually doing what we elected Trump to do. He chose these people because guess what? We wanted mass deportations now. We wanted folks out of the country that had came into this country illegally. Then you also have some clips we're going to be showing you to RFK Jr. Again, who he does there's one comment he makes and I just love it. And we're going to also, after RFK Jr., we're going to show you an article where one of my favorite fast food joints is already taking a change to get out some of the artificial dyes from their products. So that is awesome. We got a lot to talk about today. And you also don't want to miss show 2. We don't have it in show 1, but show 2 is going to be another epic show, and that's going to have to do with Gavin Newsom. He's going to be cutting Medicaid, guys, and nobody's protesting, nobody's screaming. You don't have Lion Rep Ted Lieu, Lion Ted. You don't have Lion Ted up there complaining about it. And not only that, where are the leftist groups? He's going to start charging illegals $100 a month for their taxpayer-funded healthcare, because that's what it is. We're paying for it. He has a huge deficit, actually at 10:30 in 23 minutes, and we'll bring you clips of that in our second show. He's going to discuss his budget, but his budget is going to be including cutting Medicaid. Sounds like some illegals that are in the country illegally won't be getting the same free ride they've been getting for so long, but he's going to blame Trump. He's going to blame tariffs for his failures. What we have, like an $88 billion surplus a couple years ago? We'll get into all that and more in our second show. But once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Smurfette, thank you. And no, I didn't fall out of my chair, Bill. I didn't fall out of my chair. I actually use Velcro these days because I don't want to slip and slide out of this chair. Oh, man. But it is a beautiful day in Central California. We got a lot of stuff going on today. And again, want to say thank you. Also, an update. We bought the plane ticket. We have the plane ticket to head to DC. So we will, we'll get there. We'll get there, right? One way or another, we always do in the Oreo Army. And again, I want to say thank you for the blessings. Thank you for putting your trust in me and our Oreo Army team to bring you the coverage that you won't get anywhere else. And it's going to be awesome. Matt's going to be coming down probably, can't remember what day he'll be down there, but we'll be with Matt for a couple days. And we'll be checking out the highlights of DC as well as the military parade. And so just want to say thank you. We are going to be fundraising now for the hotel and car rental and food. So we'll be doing that over the next couple days. Hopefully we can get that behind us and just move on. We might even do, trying to think what we could do, maybe like an 8-hour police call stream and see if we can raise the rest of that money. And just want to say thank you guys. Again, from the bottom of my heart, all you supporters, everybody out there, couldn't do it without you. Now let's get into some stuff. We don't have a lot of other stuff other than Capitol Hill today because we want to talk about that. But there is some pictures going around. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell. And I'm going to say it's not because of her age. It's because of her drinking. Take a look at this right here. And the first thing I noticed, I used to be a drunk, guys. I used to drink a lot. And I remember in the mornings, I would wake up and I would walk straight to the fridge and I would get a big bottle of water or at least one of these. I'd get one of these. It's not blue. I got to add my blue stuff. I haven't done that yet. And I would slam one before I even got in the shower. Then when I was leaving the house, I would get another one because I was so dehydrated from the alcohol. And if you watch this right here and you look at what's in front of her, she had a rough night. Look at the two, I don't even know how to say that fancy stuff. They say I have white privilege, but I've never drank that Perrier or whatever it's called. Take a look at this. This was today. Let's see if it's going to load. I can refresh it. But you had a couple members that seemed like they had a long night last night. This is while a hearing's going on. And we can't forget to go back to work. Another source of healthcare television. Look at that, man. She needs to drink some more fluids. There's some things that can help out with that. You know, another thing I used to do, which I actually love, pickle juice. I did it when I worked out, but I also did it in the mornings when I was hungover. It seemed to help. Maybe we should Amazon her a bottle of pickle juice to her office. That would be great because that really cures big help for the hangover, I'm telling you. How about this? Another Sleeping Beauty. Look at this. They tied one on last night. That's all I'm saying. And again, I'm not bashing them for it. I'll be honest. We're really hard on these people at times, but I could just imagine having to. A lot of them don't do anything. But if you were actually a congresswoman or a congressman or a senator that did your job, I think that would be a really stressful job. So every once in a while, maybe they just need, get a little loose, and they got a little loose.
Fuck no. Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore.
They're calling on this guy.
Mr. Moore, no. Miss Van Dyne.
Might as well been an empty chair there, right, folks? And I want to tell you a story. Again, I told you guys, I used to drink a little much. I'm glad I don't drink no more. What a blessing. But I remember on one of my birthdays, I went out. I think I didn't get home till 3:30 in the morning. And usually, I was one of those that no matter what I did, I was always productive at work. I was a very functional person in that matter. I'm always, I can live off, you guys know from the streams we do, I can live off a couple hours sleep and I'm ready to go. And this day, it just took a toll on me. And I wanted to take the day off because I knew I was going to be going out with my friends. And anyways, I think I got home at like 3:30 in the morning and I get to work. And I am not feeling it. I am probably, to be quite honest with you, I'm probably more drunk at that time of the day and than most people were at the bar the night before, and I just wiped out. And I remember I had this guy he'd only been working with me for probably about 5-6 months, and he's like, "How was your birthday?" I was like, "Man, I am wiped, but I got a lot of stuff to do. I couldn't take the day off." And so I sit down at my desk. And at this point, we were all in cubicles in this office. I worked for a manufacturing company. And this one sticks out to me because when I go to work, I don't do politics. I don't do that. I mean, you're paying me, I'm busting my tail for you, right? And I'm sitting there and doing my morning report. And next thing I know, hey, I was like that guy right there. I was like, what's up? You're sleeping. I was like, no, I'm not. He goes, everybody could hear you snoring. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to go home. I feel like an idiot. But yeah, so they tied one on down there in DC. They tied one down on. Now we're going to just briefly talk about some of the budget stuff. We covered it yesterday. I want you to listen to Speaker Johnson and what he says. He says, we're delivering President Trump's promises to allow the economy to flourish. Says no tax on tips, no tax on overtimes, no taxes on loan interest for American-made cars, and tax relief for seniors. And we're going to play this really quick because the left is saying, oh, Trump lied. They're going to tax your tips. Now, if I'm correct, and I'll look into this a little further because I have slept since then. But yesterday when I was listening to some of the hearings, Democrats have been telling us that these big CEOs of companies are going to start getting tips all of a sudden, and they're going to be tax-free. And all this. There is rules in place for standard tipping, what we would consider standard in the hospitality. There's certain areas that no tax on tips. And I even seen a Democrat post yesterday, and I can tell you before, I've been to the mechanic before, an oil change shop where they've gone above and beyond, and I've tipped them. And they were complaining because people were tipping like a Jiffy oil lube changer And if they do a good job and they find something else or they go the extra mile, hey, you know what? I'm not a big fan of everything. Like, I mean, you can go to a Subway now and it asks you, do you want a tip? Like your sandwich is now what, $15 for a foot long? Remember when we used to have the $5 foot long, but the sandwich is $15 and it's like, would you like to add $4 for a tip? I was like, I had $19 for a sandwich. But if somebody does a good service, they deserve a tip and a decent tip. There's also a thing in overtime, remember? So there's something in there, and I'll look into it more. But if you're making $300,000 a year and you're doing overtime, and you will still get taxed on tips. I think the cutoff, and I will confirm this, which I think is fair, is $160,000. So if you make $50,000 a year, 60,000. We want to help out some of the lower income folks, the middle class folks, the folks that just want to be able to pay their bills and be left alone. That's what these bills are going to be doing.
Without getting in their way. And so that's what the job creators and entrepreneurs and risk takers, the ones that are helping build the economy to employ their neighbors and people in their community. We want to allow them the ability to do that without getting in their way. And so that's what the Republican Party stands for. Less government, lower taxes, so we can allow the free market to flourish. And I think that's what we're going to achieve in this bill.
President Trump says no tax on Social Security. Is that going to end up in the bill? No tax on Social Security?
Yes, we're checking all the boxes. He promised no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security, no taxes on, for example, interest on car loans that are made in America. A number of those things are woven into this bill, and we've made all the math work so we can do that. Job creators and entrepreneurs.
But if you listen to Democrats, they're trying to, as always, twist this into making you believe that Trump lied to you again. I can't wait. I can't wait until we're a little bit down the road. Obviously, we're going to be covering it daily, but just like 5-6 weeks ago, we're going to hit a recession. We're going to have all these problems. We're going to do this. And every month that our inflation numbers come out, they're going down even more. Fake news doesn't even want to talk about it. And I know there's been a lot of lot of talk about this palace in the sky that was gifted to the United States from Qatar. But this morning, Boeing CEO, an American company, Boeing, joined President Trump in Qatar Wednesday for a signing ceremony of 160 new planes. That is a lot. That is a lot of business for an American manufacturer, and we'll probably touch a little bit more on that in the second show. And another thing we've elected some of these leaders to do before we get into the hearings, and we're going to jump into them right now. A lot of people said, we learned a lot. I don't care how political you were or how involved you are in politics. I don't think any of us understood the extent of the corruption and the deep state that was entwined in DC under Trump's first term. There's a lot of things he was sabotaged on. And one of the things that I think we said as American conservatives was, you have people that you are appointing, but there's so many people under them that want to see Trump fail. They have an ideology of Trump derangement syndrome, and we need to get rid of those people. Democrats are upset because guess what? In the FBI, we've done that. In the U.S. District Attorney's Office, we've done that. We fired people that prosecuted J6ers and didn't even blink an eye at putting these people that were literally touring the Capitol. You had people that went in the Capitol and prayed and did 2.5 years in jail. That's not justice. We know that. No matter where you feel about January 6th. I was there January 6th. I know what I saw. I was not in the Capitol, but I know what I saw. And there's not many things that I can sit there in awe and tear up about. But that day, I was amazed at my American citizens. singing the national anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance, God bless America, and just wanting to fight for this country. Well, Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, is also working on getting out those bad actors. Check this out. This was Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard fired senior National Intelligence Council officials labeled as strongly anti-Trump. Now, the left is going to say, oh, this is persecution. No, no, no. If you have a president that has an agenda and you have people underneath him that's going to be working against his agenda, guess what, folks? They got to go. It said Gabbard dismissed Mike Collins, the acting chair of the National Intelligence Council, and his deputy, Maria Langen-Reichoff. She also relocated the agency under ODNI to prevent intelligence politicization. Let me see if I have this other video on that really quick. If not, we'll just go right into the hearings. But I think I do have an update. Let's see. Come on. No, I didn't. Let's see. Oh, there's not an updated one. So we're going to move on. So on Capitol Hill. Oh, wait. No, I got one more thing. Another thing Mike Johnson said, and we got one other video from Mike Johnson, but it has to relate to what Kristi Noem said. That we've talked about this. And this is one thing I think a lot of Democrats and conservatives can get on board with: banning stock trading. Banning stock trading. Take a listen to what he says here.
Salary of Congress has been frozen since 2009. Well, look, the salary of Congress has been frozen since 2009. When you adjust for inflation, a member of Congress today is making 31% less than they made in that year. It goes down every year. And over time, if you stay on this trajectory, you're going to have less qualified people who are willing to make the extreme sacrifice to run for Congress. I mean, it's just people just make a reasonable decision as a family on whether or not they can come and move to Washington, have a residence here, residence at home, and do all the things that are required. So the counter argument is, and I have some sympathy, look, at least let them engage in some stock trading so that they can continue to take care of their family.
But he did mention that he wouldn't be against a ban on stock trading. He's bringing this up now, and I want to tell you my opinion on this because I differ from a lot of people. Is I think if you want the best and the brightest, at least when I was working at different manufacturing, you get what you pay for in this world most of the time, right? If you have a position where the salary range is 60 to 80,000 and you're only going to offer 60, doesn't mean you're going to get a bad employee. But when there's employees out there, when I was hunting for a job and people lowballed me for an offer, I didn't take the job, and they missed out on somebody that was highly experienced, highly qualified, and was very loyal to a company and the shareholders. And I think if I'm going to run for something and I'm going to give up my nice job that I like, I shouldn't have to take a big salary hit. Now, you have the opposite in Congress. You have some people that come from a bartender to making $174,000 a year. I'm not talking about electing bartenders. I'm talking about these economists, these people. Doge is a prime example where this doesn't fit the scenario, because these people were making killer money in tech and decided for the good of the United States of America, they were going to take a pay cut and do what was right, because in the long run, it would benefit them, right? America would still be around. We wouldn't be bankrupt in 30 years. They would still get Social Security when they retired. But I am a fan, like when I look at how much school board members make. I think when last time I checked in my area, it was like $22,000 a year. And again, it's a part-time gig. You do your regular job, but I was like, man, it should be more than that. And I know people disagree with me, but like, if I'm working 40, 50 hours a week at my regular job, I'm not going to be able to put the time and effort needed into a school board for 2 hours a night, 5 days a week. These people the people that care are putting in a lot of time. The people that don't care are putting in a lot of time to destroy the schools, right? So I wouldn't mind seeing a stock ban, that's for sure. Check this out. Things got a little heated. This was the House Homeland Security Committee with Secretary Noem, and Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to enter into record a post from the USAG stating that Abrego Garcia is an MS-13 member. We have 2 judges on record way before Trump was ever elected stating that he was an MS-13 gang member. But Democrats, and they get taken down. Today was like a really bad day for Democrats on Capitol Hill. They thought they had the gotcha questions. They thought they were going to make these people that Trump has appointed look like fools, and it backfired on them. But listen to this exchange right here. You literally, I think it's Dan Goldman, you have fighting with Marjorie Taylor Greene to say he wasn't an MS-13 gang member.
An appellate board agreed. ICE officers
you are misstating what the
reliable
Mr. Goldman,
informant.
the clock is not yours right now. She has the floor. Please continue answering the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A Maryland County.
She's not answering the question, sir.
No, she's going to answer the question, and then you can object to her answer.
Make sure that she answers the question?
Finish answer. You just said, please finish your answer.
A Maryland County Police gang unit agreed that he's MS-13. A reliable confidential informant agreed that he's MS-13. ICE officers agreed that he's MS-13. An immigration judge agreed that he's MS-13. An appellate board agreed that Kilmar Abrego Garcia, your Maryland man, is MS-13.
Okay.
I
You have the
object.
floor. What do you want to say?
I object because she is misstating the record and the facts. That is not accurate, and therefore I object to that being introduced. There's no.
Mr.
Sir, can
Chairman?
I explain? You let her go on.
You go ahead.
There is no final court order establishing that he's a member. Maybe he is. So you should put all that evidence before a judge, and if he is MS-13, he should be deported. That's what we're talking about. But you're.
Can you believe they have a hearing right now on Capitol Hill, and they are still fighting for an illegal alien who had a deportation order and this deportation order wasn't under Trump administration. He was part of human trafficking, MS-13. How many times did he come in the country illegally? I can't even remember now. He beat his wife. His wife is on record stating that he's a very dangerous man. 2 protection orders. They called him a Maryland dad for a while, but the kids aren't his. The actual father of those kids actually filed in court that his wife was having them around gang members. You can't make this up. This is your Democrat Party, folks. This is the hill they are willing to die on.
Misstating what all of that evidence is.
No, I think I'm going to make a point here. You basically just read what the Attorney General said, correct?
Yes, sir.
You didn't assert that this was a court order, did you? Did you assert that this was a court order?
I read the Attorney General of the United States.
And you have a right on our committee to submit for unanimous consent or a vote if we want to put it to a vote. This for the record, correct? Is that it?
Yes.
That is correct. Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
she has a right.
Can I review what she is submitting?
No, she can submit something to this committee.
But it matters that she just said she represented exactly what the Attorney General said. She has a document there. I would like to see that document.
Let's make a copy
to
for
see if her
everybody,
representation-
and we'll vote on. I'm going to hold on just a second. We're going to hold. You're calling for the question? We're calling for the question. The clerk, we're going to need to set. Hold on just a second. Brief recess.
Please, let's get this on the historical record.
This is great.
We voted in support.
All right, there's
Mr. Higgins, I'm just asking
hold
to
on.
see the document.
I have the floor. All right, so we have a motion to vote on the submission of this for the record. That's all that has been stated. And
I have a parliamentary inquiry, sir.
Do not interrupt me again. We are on the vote on whether or not this can be entered into the record. A motion has been made, and we will vote on that motion.
Do not interrupt me again. Can you, I just, there's people that watch this podcast because I trigger them. They hate our politics. They hate America first. If anybody that's watching right now that despises me, despises Trump, can provide any evidence that Democrats have fought this hard for American citizens ever in their life, flying to foreign countries, having margaritas with MS-13 members, going and when they're having a committee hearing and interrupting as much as they have for American citizens, you can pick my punishment. You can pick my punishment because it hasn't happened. Americans should be appalled right now. But thankfully, we do have Kristi Noem that has called them out in these hearings. I want you to take a listen to this.
Criminals who are in this country illegally. But first, I would be remiss if I did not address the disturbing actions that we saw last week. There were members of this very committee that took part in an action at Delaney Hall on May 9th that need to be addressed. I served as a member of Congress in this body for 8 years, and I understand the importance of congressional oversight. What happened on May 9th was not oversight. It was a political stunt that put the safety of our law enforcement officers, our agents, our staff, and our detainees at risk. Here are the facts. As a vehicle approached the security gate at Delaney Hall Detention Center, a mob of protesters, including 3 members of Congress, stormed the gate and they trespassed into the detention facility. We have footage of those members of Congress slamming their bodies into our law enforcement officers, shoving them, screaming profanities in their faces, striking them with their fists, and otherwise assaulting law enforcement. The behavior was lawlessness, and it was beneath this body. Members of Congress should not break into detention centers or federal facilities. Had these members requested a tour, we certainly would have facilitated a tour. As a body knows, there are proper protocols and there are procedures that must be abided by. These congressional members and staff visit our facilities all of the time, and these members could follow the policies that have been in place, and they would have been followed. We would have facilitated a tour of this important facility. However, even after these members assaulted our federal law enforcement officers, we still provided them with a tour of that facility. I'm glad that at their press conference following the tour, these members acknowledged that Delaney Hall is in good condition and meets deferral standards. Charges made by these politicians that Delaney does not have the proper permitting is false. We have valid permits and inspections for plumbing and electricity and fire codes that have been cleared. Lastly, I'd like to remind Americans and everyone in this body who is detained in this detention facility are murderers, rapists, known terrorists, MS-13 gang members, drug traffickers, and other heinous actors. I hope that those members of Congress will so passionately protest on behalf of the American victims that they were elected to represent, and not just violent criminals who are in this country illegally.
Pretty well stated there. It's pretty sad that, again, I think some people actually thought this day would never come, where you have elected representatives from the Democrat Party storming ICE facilities, assaulting officers, and not for American citizens. I told you guys the other day, if they were doing some just cause, I would say, well, hopefully they don't get in trouble. That's what I would say. I mean, imagine if it was for the American citizens, how we could get behind the Democrats. But here, you're going to hear some arguments here, some more arguments, of course, from Rep. Dan Goldman. I don't know, like, what kind of ties he has to MS-13, what kind of ties he has, if any, to cartels, but it certainly appears that way. And I want to, before we get into some more of this, I want to show you a video from Mike Johnson when he came out today answering questions and what he said. Because again, these people are elected members. They have to abide by some rules. Take a listen to this.
Mr. Speaker, can you flesh out the possible discipline that these members, the Democrats, could face for what happened in New Jersey?
Well, look, there's three possible disciplinary actions that Congress, the House can take. Okay, you can censure a member, and that probably does seem appropriate here. You can kick them off committees. That's a new tradition begun by the Democrats in recent years. And you can expel someone from Congress. Now, expulsion requires a 2/3 vote. That's not likely because the margins are small on both sides. But you know, we're looking at what is appropriate. Look, I think it's pretty clear that the law was violated. You might have noticed the Wisconsin judge that was trying to.
We're gonna get into the Wisconsin judge in our next show, but he's gonna give us a teaser here because a grand jury indicted that Wisconsin judge that was aiding and abetting an illegal alien, walked that illegal alien out a side door of the courthouse to hide from ICE.
Conceal the illegal alien that was going to be apprehended by ICE. A federal grand jury indicted the judge. I think that was late yesterday. And I'm told that she'll be brought up on charge, maybe facing potentially 6 years in jail and $350,000 in fines because she obstructed the proceedings, obstructed justice, and was engaged in other activities. So.
Oh my gosh. When I heard that last night, I was on my way to church. It was right after our show. I was checking some headlines before I left the church, and I was like, she has been indicted and faces up to 6 years in jail. That's a message I want sent to people.
Look, what these House Democrats did is in that same lane, the same vein of what the judge is being indicted for. So I think there's some legal ramifications to play out here, and we'll see how it works.
Expulsion on the table.
So the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, and again, he's been dismal at best when it comes to codifying Trump's agenda. We covered that yesterday. I think 5 bills have passed in the first 100 days. The laziest Congress ever, and he's taking heat for that. But when it comes to this, if a grand jury can indict, a federal grand jury can indict that judge, he's saying the actions of these Congress members were equal in the same lane as that obstruction. So that could be, maybe that's a preview of what's to come. Listen to this. Eric Swallowswell, who we know Fang slept with a Chinese spy, all this other good stuff. Take a listen to this.
So, Madam Secretary, thank you, Mr. Burnett. 2 weeks ago, your agency deported a 4-year-old American citizen in a stage 4 cancer battle. What are you doing to get him back to the country so he can get his treatment?
Congressman, this mother wished to keep her family together and to take her child with her. So as every single person is given the opportunity to, medical care is given throughout the process.
Okay. So it sounds like
and
nothing.
For this child, medical care was confirmed in their home country.
So listen, that debunks all the facts. So the child had cancer, the mom's being deported. You don't get a free ride just because of a health issue here. I know that's what Democrats want people to believe. They always pick the child with cancer or something like this. But listen to what she said. The mother, this goes against all the fake news we've read. The mother said, I want to take my child with me. And they gave medical care throughout the process and confirmed medical care in the country of origin.
So that it would continue, and those treatments and whatever needs were needed to be had into the future were confirmed to be provided there before.
That child's home country is the United States. Do you believe you have a right to deport a U.S. citizen?
That mother chose to keep her family together, and that is what President Trump is focused on.
That's not the facts of the case.
Yes, it is the facts.
Madam Secretary, moving on,
confirmed that she wanted to keep her
have a
child
right
with her.
that backfired pretty hard on Eric Swalwell's too, because again, we're going to go after, just like yesterday, we showed you all the people in wheelchairs in Congress, like somehow Trump's going to cut their health insurance, which couldn't be farther from the truth. This is what they want. They want the photo ops. They want the one-liners, and it's backfiring on them today. Actually, look at this one right
Madam
here.
Secretary, you
This is
agree that
hilarious.
the letters MS and the number 13 in Times Roman numeral font, that they are doctored on this photo, right?
Congressman Abrego Garcia.
No, I'm
a
just
known
asking about
member
this,
of
this
MS-13.
photo.
It wasn't based off of tattoos. It was
Okay.
based off an entire case.
And I'll accept
entire
that
case against him.
for the purpose of this question. You agree, though, that this is doctored. Is that right?
The same protocols that are
Madam
applied
Secretary,
to every
I want you to have
individual with
credibility,
law
and
enforcement.
I want you to be taken seriously. Is this doctored or is it not
Sir,
doctored?
I am taken quite seriously
Is it
because I
doctored
approach
or
my
not
job
doctored?
with the importance that the president has given me to do
I
my
understand.
job.
Is it doctored or
One
not
thing
doctored?
that's important to remember is that every single time a case is built,
Madam
against
Secretary, I have a
individuals in the
7-year-old, a
same
6-year-old, and a
protocols.
3-year-old. I have a bullshit detector. I'm just asking you, is this doctored or not doctored?
Sir, the protocols in the case built against
Can you
Abrego
answer the
Garcia
question?
were exactly the same.
Madam Secretary,
I don't have
you're-
any knowledge as to that photo you're pointing to.
Okay, can you
I
take her?
don't, sir.
Can you show
I-
her the photo? Walk her the photo down there. No, that one. Please take a look at this photo. It was tweeted by the president on April 21. It's been hanging out there for about a month.
So what is your point?
My question is the numbers and the letter MS-13. Could you look at the photo, please? It's right in front of
Are
you.
you saying Abrego Garcia is not a wife
No,
beater?
no, ma'am.
That he's not a criminal.
ma'am,
He's not a human trafficker, and he's not a member of MS.
You vouched for Mr. Garcia when
You're
your team
vouching for a
sent,
man
ma'am.
He said, are you saying that he's not a wife beater? He's not a human trafficker. He's not an MS-13 member. And guess what? Eric Swallowswell can't answer no to any of those.
vouched for him when you said he
violent
was
criminal.
mistakenly deported.
Sir,
I didn't vouch for him.
I did not say
In that
He should
photo,
have been deported. Absolutely.
it's so
There was
telling
never
that
a
you
mistake
won't look at the
deport him,
photo.
And we will not be bringing
Was
him
it
back to this
doctored or
country.
not?
And we will not be bringing him back to the United States. This is crazy. How about, is it this one? I think it might be this one. Another one. Take a listen, man. She's on fire. I love this administration. How all they say, they just speak the truth. And if you're given an opportunity to speak the truth, it will defeat any lie. And that's what we are seeing here. Take a look at this one.
He
Stop
was
filibustering.
surrounded by gang members of MS-13.
Will you give Mr. Abrego Garcia the due process that the Supreme Court and Judge Wilkinson has required you to give him?
Abrego Garcia is an El Salvador resident who is in his home country. If he were to come back to this country, he would be immediately removed again.
How do you know?
He has received and been treated appropriately,
So he-
sir, and he is not.
How can
in
you
this
say he's
country
been
anymore.
treated appropriately
Advocacy?
if the Supreme Court has ruled 9-0 that he hasn't been treated appropriately? Why is your opinion better
We had
and
two
have more
judges,
authority than the Supreme Court?
investigators, 2 judges, an immigration court that all said he was MS-13 and was removed from this country.
But you understand, that is you saying that. That is
No, actually, once again, Rep. Dan Goldman. Once again, Rep. Dan Goldman fighting for an MS-13 gang member, not for the American citizen, not for his constituents, not for anything. Again, this person had a deportation order. This person's an MS-13 gang member, a human trafficker. Every time that the Democrats will do what I call a George Floyd scenario, make somebody an innocent victim that was an actual hardcore criminal or somebody that's not good for the communities they are in, it backfires. It backfires in a major way. Take a listen to the rest of this.
is you saying that.
That is them saying that. This
No,
is
no, no, no.
investigators and law
That is
enforcement
you
officers
making
in
that
the case they built
determination.
against him. If you don't
The
trust our law
court
enforcement
has
officers
considered all that.
and
The judge has
investigators,
considered all that,
then
Madam
who do you
Secretary.
trust if you
And
don't
if you would be
trust judges?
quiet because I'm reclaiming my time, you are not following this court order. But let's focus on the court order because this opinion also says that to facilitate, which the Supreme Court is requiring, is an active verb. It requires that steps be taken. What steps have you taken to return Mr. Abrego Garcia to allow him to get due process?
Abrego Garcia is in his home country.
What
If he were to come
steps
back here,
have
your
you
advocacy-
taken?
If your continued advocacy for him were to...
I'm not advocating for him.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
advocating for a
Absolutely.
court order, Madam
Gone to the
Secretary.
mat for this
The
man
court
who
order
has terrorized
says
people
that
in
you
traffic
must take
and human
steps
beings.
to follow the court order. You are here under oath. What steps have you taken to return Mr. Abrego Garcia
Listen to this.
pursuant to
Got
this
be
court order?
extremely- It's got to be extremely discouraging to be one of the constituents. To see you fight for a terrorist like this and not fight for them is extremely alarming to me.
I'm fighting for due process,
Constituents as
and
well.
that's under the Constitution.
Gentleman's
and you
time
should
has
fight too.
expired.
It's got to be extremely disturbing for your constituents that you'll fight for a terrorist. Boom. This whole day has backfired. They thought they were going to grill those folks in the Trump administration, and it's not looking good. Listen to this one. This one was kind of funny.
Recognize Mr.
Again, Department of Homeland Security. Think about that. The main goal is to protect the homeland, not to protect illegals, not to protect people who have committed crimes in this country. Quite the opposite, right? And listen to this one go off. This is what I could imagine what this person's constituents are thinking.
Johnson for 5 minutes. Questions.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Texas
Chairman.
to Texas.
And thank you, Madam Secretary, for appearing before committee today. I want to address several issues. I'm going to try not to repeat a lot of issues that have been addressed, but I do have some substantial concerns over how ICE agents present themselves to the public. Oftentimes, we've seen many videos out there where they're masked and not properly identified. I have a lot of real personal concern about that. I just put myself in the situation of that woman from Tufts, for example. You're just walking down the street, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 3 masked men, not properly identified, attack you and try to take you away. I find that to be reprehensible and not the values of this country. What steps are you taking to make sure that your ICE agents are not masked and properly identified when they approach someone?
Well, ICE agents always identify themselves to individuals that they're encountering or that they're working with. What I would say, as far as if they are wearing something over their faces, it's oftentimes because that agent has been involved in undercover operations or needs to be able to continue the investigative work that they do on a day-to-day basis.
But don't you think, Madam Secretary, that people have a right to see whoever's trying to apprehend them? I think it's creating this.
Illegals, aliens that broke into our country have a right to see. Think about this for a second. Those people that are apprehending them. This is the party of wear face masks. This is the party as I support Antifa. I support all the people wearing dish towels at college campuses around their face. They support this. But when our law enforcement does it because they work undercover or to protect their identity, they have a problem with it. This is the defund the police era all over again.
Unrealistic vigilante system. And are you aware that your materials, ICE agents, jackets and the sorts, are available on Etsy for $20? Anybody can do that, throw a mask on, and run around and terrorizing people of color without any regard for the law, without any regard, because your agency does not have proper protocols to make sure their agents are clearly identified and marked when they're executing their jobs.
Our agents do identify themselves. They verbally do that, and then also by the clothing that they're wearing. And if they do have something that is covering some of their facial features, it's for their investigative work or their undercover work that they do as a part of their job duties as well. What I would say is that it is important that we follow the procedures and protocols for every encounter that we have, and they have done that in every situation to the best of my knowledge.
Well, I would suggest that your protocols need to be revised, because I don't think it's reasonable for masked men to be apprehending people on the streets. I think that instills a lot of fear. It doesn't instill security in the process. And in states like Texas, that is open carry, when any jackadoo can be walking around with a gun, I think some tragic circumstances are at bay.
That was her concern. that these people are concealing their identity because they do undercover operations. Some of these ICE agents are embedded so deep into some of the cartel stuff and everything else, and they want them exposed. They want the cartels to know who they are. Think about that for a minute. Every law enforcement agency has a concealment. I live here in Clovis, California. I can promise you, I have my police scanner right here that I listen to sometimes. And when something's big going on, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to see what's going on in my town. And you go there, and there's unmarked cars sometimes that'll pull up with people masked because they spend most of their time undercover and they don't want to be identified. It's, again, they don't care what's happening to American citizens. They didn't care about the persecution of American citizens. They didn't care about anything else. But now that it has to do with illegals that broke into this country, they have a problem with it. That should tell you everything you need to know. I think now we're going to move on to some of JFK stuff. Just listen to this one. This is... and
explicitly, you don't have the authority. You do not have the authority to do what you are doing. Congressman Hoyer pointed out that very clearly and explicitly. You don't have the authority. This administration does not have this authority. You're reorganizing of the NIH. You don't have the authority. That is in the jurisdiction of the United States Congress. You want to eliminate 5 agencies. You want to create a new agency. Once again, I don't mean to be repetitive, but I do mean to be repetitive. You do not have the authority.
These people want power and control of everything. Listen to some of this. I like RFK Jr.'s answer here. Again, there was a lot of things that were once created with good intentions, and through the years and through corruption, greed, the love for money, the love for power, the love for control, those things have turned into something that it was not intended for, the NIH being one of them. And listen to what RFK Jr. says right here.
Perfect. Can you talk a little bit about the changes at NIH in particular? I know that there's been a lot of conversation around that. Certainly streamlining is part of that. But can you talk a little bit more about what your vision is for NIH moving forward?
Well, NIH, when I was a kid, NIH was the premier gold standard scientific institution in the world. Over the years, it was captured by industry and by, I think, a kind of ossification that happened at NIH because of the longevity of some of the leadership there. And there was a tremendous amount of corruption. And, part of that corruption is we now have the CIA, the FBI, the Department of Energy, and the Department of State all saying that the COVID-19 pandemic came out of research that was then sent over to China, and that was the end point. We also have the sickest people in the world. NIH, with the best science, is supposed to be protecting. We should be the healthiest people in the world. We're switching the trajectory so that we're going to really focus narrowly on chronic disease, ending the chronic disease epidemic, and then we're going to make sure that the science cannot be corrupted. And every scientific study is replicated. That the raw data for those studies is published. That the peer review for those studies is published. And that we're going to focus on making sure that we get to younger scientists rather than the old boys at work.
So again, science should always be questioned. That's why it's science. And again, talking about the peer reviewed, talking about, again, look at what's happened to the NIH. I don't think you need to say anything other than look at our chronic health epidemic in this country. Diabetes, obese children, childhood diseases. We're seeing things that we've never seen before. I just read an article, and it wasn't from a right-wing place, talking about, I actually seen 2. Childhood cancer and childhood diseases, how they've spiked so much. And then people under the age 50, I believe it was, with a cancer diagnosis. We've never seen numbers like this before. Democrats are okay with that. That gives more money to Big Pharma. The Make America Healthy Again group, they're not okay with that. We spend so much money on healthcare because our people are in such poor health. That needs to come to an end. And I am grateful. I remember when RFK Jr. said that we covered it live. Remember that? RFK Jr. came out and said that he would be endorsing President Trump and that President Trump promised him a spot in Health and Human Services or another position that would allow him to fix the chronic health problems that are plaguing this country. And that's what you see. And who do you have fighting it? Exactly. Really quick, guys, check this out. Truth Social. If you're looking for a great place online for news, discussions, and entertainment, then check out Truth Social, Donald Trump's social media website. You'll get breaking news stories and commentary from top media figures. If you want to see Trump's legendary Truth Social post, then get on Truth Social today. Join a growing community of patriots on a free speech platform designed to avoid censorship and cancellation by big tech. Make your voice heard. Join the movement. Join Truth Social. That's right. And if you do join, make sure you follow us at Oreo_Express. What else do we have here? How about this one? I love this. I love this. I mean, literally, these people were salivating over getting Kristi Noem and RFK Jr. today, and it completely backfired. Like, I don't know how much lower the Democrat Party could fall. They'll tell you that Donald Trump's approval rating's down the drain. It's their approval rating that's down the drain. And we see it day in and day out.
Numbers.
Listen to this.
And Trump's vision of this country is the same as Martin Luther King. We should have a colorblind administration. President Trump is deeply concerned about the maternal health crisis and the fact that Black mothers are more likely to die in childbirth, 2.6 times, 260% more likely to die.
Excuse me, sir. Let me claim my time because I don't need this rhetoric about Donald Trump and the lie that he cares about me and Black people. What I want to know is the proposals. I'm claiming my time, sir. Reclaiming it.
She just insinuated Donald Trump don't care about Black people. Think about it. The same lies, the same, quote, rhetoric that we've seen since 2015 to demonize the man. Guess what? With RFK Jr., he's not saying we got to fix the health problems of white Americans. He's fixing the health problems of all Americans. And that's what we want to see. There's only one party. There's only one party that wants to divide us all. I think you know what it is.
I want to know specifically, how do you intend to address those disparities and to overcome those disparities as it relates to Black health in this country with the changes that you've decided are important or someone has decided for you? I don't know, with your department. Specifically, sir.
I've spent a lifetime working on those priorities, and I continue to do so. We have 8 divisions, 8 programs for minority health at HHS. We've closed one of those offices. We're maintaining the other 7. We have 42 programs for maternal health. We're going to close a couple of them and consolidate them. We're going to still spend $1.7 billion a year. The commitment is there. We're just reorganizing.
Okay, you know what? And the impact of reorganization is something that I shall continually ask you to show me. So please let me warn you now.
I welcome those inquiries.
And
I welcome those inquiries. We spend so much money. Again, it's just crazy. Listen to this. Again, Trump's picks. I'm loving them more and more every day. Because what you have here is the obstruction party. We're going to make America healthy again. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're going after black people. Do you have any evidence of that? Nope. It's my feelings. Everything that Trump has tried to do so far, his administration has tried to do so far, has been blocked one way or another or delayed. That's what they want. They have midterms coming up in 2026, and they're worried about that because they know Trump's policies will win. And they know that where Democrats stand now, there's probably not a whole lot of support, fire. I mean, look at who they have protesting. They have senior citizens out at Tesla dealerships because they've lied to senior citizens, stating that their Social Security is going to be given to Elon Musk, that they won't get their Medicaid no more. All a lie, all fabricated. Take a look at this.
Start was not cut. Yeah, there were analysis. The simplest analysis was at the there were.
I like that. Look at that. Just tells you everything you need to know. Rep Hoyer with his American Ukrainian flag lapel pin.
Well, there were analysis. The simplest analysis was at the outset. The analysis that we're $2 trillion a year that we don't have.
Mr. Musk said he was going to cut $2 trillion.
$2 trillion more than you have to make cuts. The other analysis that was more detailed is that
children or the Indians that you're so concerned about?
We didn't cut the Indians. We didn't cut the Indian services.
I'm asking you. You said we have to cut.
I made sure that those services were not cut. I made sure that Head Start was not cut. But the cuts that were done were cuts that were to duplication, to redundancy, to streamlining. We increased our workforce 70% in 4 years, so we were going back to the 2019 level.
Increase their workforce 70%. Remember when Joe Biden bragged about creating jobs? These are the jobs he created. Jobs that you pay for, taxpayer-funded jobs. Not the private sector, not the middle class, not the small business owner. But let's spend more government money, which is your money, the taxpayer's dollar.
Mr. Reagan,
and I would ask,
Mr. Reagan said he was
just absolutely insane, folks. Just absolutely insane. It didn't go well for them today, as you can see. How about this one? Another mic drop moment. Another mic drop moment. Take a listen.
Areas where local communities can partner with you in this effort. In my district, which is a rural district, want to work with you on those goals. What can we do to promote this with young children, healthy lunches, all sorts of areas where local communities can partner with you in this effort?
We are about to reissue the dietary guidelines. We're going to do it very quickly. We have until January, but we're going to do it. I think we'll have it done even before August. And we took the Biden guidelines, which were 453 pages long and were clearly written by industry, that are incomprehensible, driven by the same industry capture and those kind of carnal impulses that put Fruit Loops at the top of the food pyramid. And we are changing that. So we're going to have 4-page dietary guidelines that tell people essentially eat whole food, eat the food that's good for you. That's going to drive changes in the school lunch programs. And we're going to need your help to make sure we can get good school lunches to Head Start. I've been touring these Head Start facilities. Everything they eat is in a package, and it is just loaded with sugar and with chemicals. We're poisoning this generation, 800,000 kids, the poorest kids in our country, and we're starting them out with this count against them, with diabetes, pre-diabetes. 38% of our youth now are diabetic or pre-diabetic. That was 0 when I was a kid. When anybody thinks that we did gold standard medicine in this country from these institutions, look at our children. They're the sickest children in the world. Laura, you say that excuse me, Congressman DeLauro, you say that you've worked for 20 years on getting food dye out. Give me credit. I got it out in 100 days. I'll give you that credit. All right, so let's work together.
You said you've been working for 20 years to get food dye out. I got it out in 100 days. Give me credit. I love it. I love it because guess what? I am sick of both Democrats and Republicans talking. All these administrations prior, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Okay, let's elect this person. And Americans don't hold those people accountable. I think this is great. I think this is great. It's going to take a while to see the results. Doesn't happen overnight, but I would have to agree with him. Me and Rachel, when we're walking through the grocery store, we've been, like I said, we have zero ultra processed food now in our homes. Caden might get what you would call an unhealthy dessert or snack once in a while, but for the most part, and I thought it would be a lot more expensive. It's really not. It is time consuming. But when you meal plan and you prep, you spend your Sunday afternoon cooking snacks and dinners for the week or whatever you do, it is doable. But when we go into these stores and we're looking at people's shopping carts, the carts represent the person pushing it. I can promise you the people that have the meats, the produce, the vegetables, they're not 350 pounds with 2 overweight children. They're not. The people that everything's in packages and like he mentioned, Fruit Loops, this and that, they got their 3 cans of sodas on there. They're poisoning themselves. And I wish I would have realized this earlier. I'm not even lying. 15 years ago, I was joking around. Give me all the GMO you can give me. When we would be at restaurants, if you guys know me, I'm kind of a jackass at times. They say gluten-free. I'd like, can I get extra gluten on that, please? Because once again, I thought I was invincible. I thought, this will never catch up to me. But now when you look at society and where we are at today, it's catching up to society and it's costing you lots of money. Think about how much percentage of your taxes are going to the healthcare because, again, what people ingest. But that was epic. That was absolutely epic. Take a listen to this.
Same number. Let me address your first issue first, because I want to correct you. We have about 1,100 measles cases in this country. The growth rate last year was 15 additional, so we have plateaued. Mexico has roughly the same number with 1/3 of our population, and they got 300 extra cases last week. Canada has more measles, 1,500. They have 1/8 of our population. Western Europe has about 6,000, which is 10 times the number that we have.
Well,
you are wrong about what you said earlier. Let me address your first
You're not going to see that when ABC News puts that out. It says we got a measles outbreak, blah, blah, blah. And you look at the country above us, the country below us, both with less population, and they have more measles outbreaks. This is not uncommon, folks. This is not uncommon. But they want to say this anti-vax guy. But I want to play this one more time. I just love this one. And then we're going to talk about something about one of my favorite places to eat.
He thinks that we did gold standard medicine in this country from these institutions. Look at our children. They're the sickest children in the world. Laura, you say that excuse me, Congressman DeLauro, you say that you've worked for 20 years on getting food dye out. Give me credit. I got it out in 100 days.
And look at this. And so check this out. Subtle but significant changes coming to In-N-Out's menu. It says In-N-Out, the popular burger chain headquartered in Irvine, has confirmed it's changing the recipes for its strawberry shake, signature pink lemonade, and ketchup. Says the moves followed follows the Food and Drug Administration announcement to phase out synthetic food dyes by the end of 2026, including red dye number 3, which studies have linked to increased cancer risk. And it says, excuse me, as a part of our ongoing commitment to provide our customers with the highest quality ingredients, we have removed artificial coloring from strawberry shakes and signature pink lemonade. An In-N-Out spokesman told KTLA on Wednesday, we're also in the process of transitioning to an upgraded ketchup, which is made with real sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. It's just, we have these people. Now, there's only one thing, I ate In-N-Out last night. We eat In-N-Out every Tuesday before we head to church, me and Roberto. Only thing they need to do is their fry oil. It's the only thing I want fixed, so it's not a seed oil. But think about the transition we're going into. Now, when we have traveled, Mexico, when you think of Mexico and you think of a lot of people will say it's poor, it's this, it's that. They have more stringent guidelines for the foods their citizens eat than we do. When we always talk about the Coca-Cola in the bottle, when I used to be able to drink sugar, I don't even drink sugar anymore. You go down there, instead of like in the United States where it's high fructose corn syrup, down there, it's made with real sugar. And it tastes better. So we are seeing more and more changes thanks to this administration that Trump will never get the credit for. RFK Jr. will never get the credit for. I promise you, in 6 years, if this administration works as hard as it's been working now and they can get the things done they need to, in 6 to 8 years, Democrats will be thanking Democrats for this. They will find a way to take credit one way or another, and I don't care. All I care about is that especially our children get a fighting chance. When you talk about brain development, when you talk about all the, Democrats are always saying kids can't go to school hungry. They need to eat. So what do? They give them garbage. Crazy. Let's see. There was anything else before we get ready to start prepping for the next show that just popped up? Because there was some more. This guy that wants to do the impeachment of Donald Trump that nobody heard of until he was like very deep in debt in his campaign and needed fundraising, so he did the impeachment. Listen to this.
They talk about paying, but they talk about my hair. They talk about my hair. They talk about my appearance. They talk about where I was born. They talk about everything, my looks. They talk about my age. They talk about why I should be deported back to the country where I was born. They talk about my past business dealings and they distort my business record. They do everything.
So he wants you to stop talking about him, folks. If people want to go out and impeach Trump, you shouldn't say anything about him. You shouldn't look up facts about him. None of that should happen. See if there's anything else with what we've covered right now. That was just a funny. I seen that. Let's see. Ooh. Should I save this one for the? I'm going to save this one for the next show. Already prepping. Let's see. Oh, here we go. I didn't see this earlier. But the deranged Democrats, the deranged leftists that want America unhealthy, that want to, I'm waiting for the protest where they're injecting food dye. That's what I want to see. Come on, Democrats. If you're that tough, do it. Listen to this.
These goals and reflects.
Did you see RFK Jr.? This was kind of funny right here. Look at them. They come in storming in the room. Again, these are Democrat protesters upset that we're making America healthy again, but watch RFK Jr.
He supports these goals and reflects.
The witness will suspend. The committee will come to order. Capitol Police are asked to remove.
No offense, I love RFK Jr. sometimes, but that man needs a diaper change. Did you see him? Watch. Oh, that's great. I love it.
Goals and reflects. Goals and reflects.
He was getting ready to run.
Goals and reflects.
He gets up and flinches.
Goals and reflects.
I don't know if it's mean to laugh, but you know what? I find comedy in a lot of these crazy libtards. Let's see if there's anything else regarding the hearings. Let's see. Oh, this was good news.
Having
again.
data to start
usually
with.
under Joe Biden, we didn't have any services for the victims of illegal alien crime. Your name wasn't mentioned. You didn't get a gold casket if you were murdered by an illegal alien. You were forgotten about. You weren't even talked about. Mainstream media would barely talk about the crime that illegal aliens had committed. Take a listen to this.
One of the things that I think was most tragic of the last administration is they even prevented us from having data to start with.
Yep.
For instance, President Trump in his first administration opened the Voices office at ICE, which gave victims of illegal immigrant crime an opportunity to get information, to have support systems, to get case information, to know when that individual was in court, when they were going to be released. When President Biden became president, he shut that office down, which means that because it didn't exist, we don't truly know how many victims of illegal immigrant crime there are out there. We don't have the data. So continuing to have systems in place where you're bringing light to the fact that there are victims still out there and that people are still enduring criminal activity by illegal immigrants and that they shouldn't be prioritized over American citizens is very important.
What I voted for, it's amazing that Joe Biden would actually do that. Let's see. Is this it?
It's Jones.
If Mark Green gets fired up.
I want to make a clarification here because there's been so many incredibly false and misleading things said today. Once a deportation order has been issued, the due process is over. The due process occurs prior to that, where the judge makes a decision with the information, oftentimes the help of NGOs, sometimes in the past funded by the federal government. But the judge issues an order, and there's well over 1 million people in this situation that are being deported appropriately. No lawyer is offered at that point. The judge has made a decision. The due process has already occurred. It's really important to make that point. People are not inhuman or violating the law. They're following the law. They're executing an order that's been presented by a judge. I saw a meme somewhere this week that said a society that makes war on its law enforcement better learn how to make friends with its criminals. You know, I've said this before, the left has this incredible heart for the criminal. They defend the criminal. A full-throated defense of criminals over the safety of Americans and the following of the rule of law. We've even seen the defense of a congresswoman who threw a punch at a police officer. I mean, that's unconscionable. You know, if I was a 100% politician, and I'm not, but if I was a 100% politician, I'd be happy with that. Why? Because that's exactly the reason they lost every single swing state in the recent election, the border. This full-throated defense of criminals and the punching of law enforcement in the face. It's why they lost every single swing state and Republicans gained in almost every state more votes than we'd ever gotten before. Because the American people recognize who the good guy really is. And it ain't Tren de Agua. Or a guy who was driving 8 women, young women, through my state, and the Biden administration said, do not detain him. As I've said before, the left doesn't know a good guy from a bad guy. They street violent criminals and they want to defund ICE. That's been their mantra since I've been in this position. It's ridiculous. It's heinous. And yes, if I were a pure politician, I'd say keep going, guys. But what it does is it breaks my heart. I am a combat veteran and I have a kindred connection to those law enforcement agencies and agents who put their ass on the line, their lives on the line for our safety. And we're fussing about whether or not the guy has a mask on to protect his identity when he's an undercover agent. I don't know how many people made an issue out of that. Give me a break. Want to cut a deal with Iran, destabilize the Middle East, punch Saudi Arabia in the face, we get an imbalance in what happens, an invasion of Israel. They don't know a good person from a bad person. That's why the American people said, we don't want them in charge. Again, if I were a pure politician, I'd say, keep going, guys. But it's a spit in the face to the men who wear that uniform. It's a charade. That's what it is. It's a charade. To say something about law enforcement and then turn around and be okay with a U.S. Congresswoman punching a police officer in the back. It's infuriating. Madam Secretary, you have done a remarkable job. And what's happening now is the criminals and the cartels have stopped making billions of dollars trafficking human beings into our country. Thank you for that. And the texts and tweets that I've gotten from Border Patrol and the texts and tweets I've gotten from law enforcement all across this country during this hearing support everything I'm saying. Thank you. And I charge you to keep going. Keep doing it. That judge executes that removal order, get them out.
Get him out of here. That was a passionate and fiery response from Mr. Green. Again, I ask myself a lot, like, how could people be this ignorant? And either you're purposely trying to destroy the country, which I think it is. There is some Trump derangement syndrome in some of these people. It's the Bloods and the Crips, right? It's the Bloods and the Crips, and you just want to see the other side fail, no matter who fails with it. And it's unfortunate. Old Uncle Bill has been gifting some subscriptions over there on Rumble. Thank you, Old Uncle Bill. Appreciate you more than you know. Thank you very much. If you guys received a subscription from Old Uncle Bill, make sure you give him a shout out and a thank you. That's one way you guys can help us here on our platform. It's $5 a month. It goes to us so we can lights, camera, action, travel. It helps out with the platform. It keeps us on the road. And as you guys know, we are heading to DC less than a month now for the military parade that's going to go on in downtown DC. We got the plane ticket. We still need help with hotel, rental car, and food. So if you guys want to help out, we would appreciate it. We would like to get this put behind us by the end of the week. It's Wednesday now. So if you guys want to donate, we would appreciate it. Again, the hotels that we're finding, and we're going to stay in the area, so we don't have an hour drive or anything like that. We've done that a lot, and it just takes away from our ability to cover stuff in a short moment's notice if anything breaks. Again, I think we found it for $861 for the hotel for all those days. We're going to be there from the 12th to the 16th. And there's going to be some excitement when we get there, as always. So if you guys do want to help out, we are 100% viewer funded. You guys make it possible. We have Venmo at Oreo Josh, Cash App, $ Oreo Army. We also have our GiveSendGo. You can go to givesendgo.com/Oreo 2024. And if you do online banking and want to do a Zelle transfer, our Zelle address is on our website. You can go to theoreoexpress.com. There's a donate now button. It has all those links. Let's get us funded. Let's make sure we have all this behind us and we can get there and bring you guys the coverage that we try to bring all the time when we're on the road. Again, we will be back here for a second show in probably about 3.5 hours, which is probably about 3 o'clock. Could be a little later, but 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern. And I want to thank you guys all for being in here. Thank you to the mods for helping out and keeping the chat clean. Again, guys, we can't do it without you. We got an exciting, a little over 3.5 years left, and we got to make it rock and roll. So God bless you all. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you soon.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Well, hop aboard the Oreo Express, where truth don't hide and we don't second guess. Unapologetic, we're bold and we're loud, shining light on the left shady crowd. Oreo Express, rolling down the track, exposing the lies, ain't no turning back. Conservative fire, we're speaking the truth. So grab your boots, let's take a stand for freedom, faith, and the heart of this land. Oreo Express, let's roll, let's go. So grab your boots, let's take a stand for freedom, faith, and the heart of this land. Oreo Express, let's